The first time I played Stardew Valley was a little bit over a year ago, right after 1.6 dropped. What is this? How do I get this? What am I supposed to do? Since then, I've played over 200 hours, I've gotten married thrice, started a farm with my sister, made millions of gold, and made my grandpa proud, and it still feels like I know nothing about the game. Now, 100 days in Stardew is not necessarily impressive. It's very easy for me to play a whole season in one sitting when the extreme focus hits just right. Last summer, for example, during an awful heat wave where it was 45 degrees Celsius for 3 days in a row, and that's 500 Fahrenheit for my American frenemies, I still decided to play this game 12 hours in a row. All of this to say, 100 days is nothing for me. What this challenge is about is seeing what I can accomplish in 100 days when I consciously try to go above and beyond. Will I reach the bottom of the mines and explore the Skull Caverns? Will I finish the community center? Will I repair the boat to Ginger Island? Will I get married and have 29 sheep? I am a realist through and through, and I believe that maybe I'll have finished the mines? Maybe? The rest will for sure not be happening. I may be the ultimate authority on all things Sims, but I am the Stardew Valley equivalent of a 5-year-old learning to play the piano. You're proud of them for trying, but it's ruining your life also. On day 1, Why are we going so fucking fast? If you don't mention my mods, I won't turn you into the police. Deal? Deal. I started the way any good Stardew player starts, and that is by using speedrun strats to cut grass so I can plant my parsnips, obviously. Now, I may have completely exhausted myself in the process and rendered myself a shell of a person from the cursed act of planting and watering a seed, but I say anything is worth it for the good of the farm. I then tried to meet as many locals as possible, making sure to go out of my way to meet the new characters that come with the expanded mod, but I kept getting lost. I was also keeping an eye out for forageables so I could eat something and not die in T-8 seconds, but I couldn't find any for the life of me. I ended up buying some bread at the saloon and spending the rest of my money in more parsnip seeds. I then managed to forage a little bit before going to bed. I start day 2 by planting the parsnip seeds I got the previous day, and I clear up some more weeds. I run into Gus while foraging, and I really love how fresh it feels for these characters that are usually cooped up inside to be walking around. I greet more people I didn't run into the previous day, and I then head down to the beach to get Willie's bamboo pole, and I watch the whole cutscene for some reason. Since Abigail asked for a Joja Cola to prank her dad, I tried to fish for trash but could only get actual fish. What a bummer. Fishing made me overexert myself for the second day in a row, and I managed to almost die by casting my fishing pole at the ground next to Sebastian. This all made me feel very overwhelmed, so I struggled to get in my farm by the north entrance and went to bed. On day 3, I miraculously wake up with full energy because I leveled up my foraging in the night. Day 3 is always a rainy day, so I was ready for a day of fishing. I was still trying to fish up that Joja Cola for Abigail, but ended up giving up and buying it at Joja Mart since I was scared that I wouldn't be able to complete the quest in time. Since it was Wednesday, I had to wait outside Pierce for Abigail to get out and give it to her, which took way too long. She gave me 75 gold for the quest and I paid 75 gold for the cola. You could say I was making money moves. I spent the rest of the day river and mountain lake fishing, catching a lot of the fish that I was going to need for the community center once it would be open. At the end of the day, I caught a goddamn Joja Cola. It's back to watering on day 4, and I also hoed more spots for the new seeds I was gonna buy later that day. I managed to get a second chest to store my fish, and I felt on top of the world, like nothing could get me down. Since I didn't have a lot of money though, I couldn't get many seeds at all. But in agriculture, I believe it's the thought that counts. As I walked in town though, I got this terrifying Dusty cutscene where I thought he was for sure gonna bite my hand off, which wasn't dramatic of me at all. I gave the ancient doll that looks like Jim Pickens that I found on day 1 to the museum, which gave me a little bit more seed money from completing a quest. Later that day, I decided to do some ocean fishing since I'd done none of it the previous day. As I was walking back to the farm, I got a cutscene with Andy where he offered to send me some strawberry seeds in the mail. And I could have gotten down on my knees right there.
What the fuck do that mean?
In prayer, obviously in prayer, in the Lord. I trust, amen. I had to wrap up the day pretty quickly though, because the mines were going to be open the next day and I was very excited. On the morning of day 5, Marnie shows up to my door to offer me some random cat, and I made the obvious choice to pick the white cat and name her Serafina, as only the real ones dare to. I then had my first harvest of parsnips, watered the rest of my plants, and headed into town for the community center cutscene. I immediately went to read the Junimo message so I could be assured a chill smoke sesh with the wizard on the next day. Then finally, once I was all done with my morning tasks, I headed to the mines, praying not to make a fool of myself. Marlon gave me that piece of shit sword and I was off to commit multiple genocides against cave creatures. I didn't care what my luck was that day. There was no way I wasn't going to show up at the grand opening because some sorcerer on my TV told me I shouldn't. I managed to get down to floor 13 before I got too exhausted, and I got out with 52 copper ore, not bad at all. Going to the mines with a single row of inventory is close to torture though. Since it was Friday night, I swung by the saloon to chat a bit with the patrons, as I always try to do. Always assumed that if there's a big time skip between my highlighted actions, I was going around chatting some people up. I cannot play Stardew by only grinding and ignoring the NPCs. I'm way too much of a softie. I went to bed relatively early, satisfied with my day. On day 6, I had a much less pleasant visitor in the form of Clint, teaching me how to craft my own furnace. I must say though, it's much more useful than a cat. I had my second harvest of parsnips on that day, but most importantly, I got the invite for the chill hang I was waiting for with my buddy Rasmodius. I went there right away, following the dank smell in the air all the way down to his wizard tower. He made me see some dancing trees, and I knew I would never be the same after that.
Never be the same.
He's a real awful trip sitter though, because I then had to make my way through the forest alone while zonked off my gourd. There was a quest on the help wanted board to catch 3 anchovies, and I thought, what's the big deal? I can do that easy. I made my way up to the community center to see what changed about the bundles in Stardew Expanded, and it turns out quite a bit of stuff changes. Thankfully, the spring bundle doesn't change since I had everything ready for it. With the fish tank unlocked, I was now free to go in there and dump all my dead fish head first in the broken glass. I'm selfless like that, what can I say? With the time I have left on that day, I went for another cheeky dip down the mines, making it down to floor 20 and receiving the elf blade, which was way better than my shitty sword. No offense, Marlon. On day 7, I woke up to new proficiency in combat, so watch out. I then remembered I needed to catch 3 anchovies for Willy, so I brought my furnace on the beach with me to smelt copper bars while I fished the day away. I only confused the noise of the furnace being done with the noise of a fish biting like 5 times. No big deal. The real problem was that I didn't seem to be able to catch anything but sardines, and even though anchovies and sardines do look alike, they're not the same fish. I had a huge disappointment when I finally managed to fish up 2 and thought that was all I needed. I almost gave up, thinking there was no way I'd have time or energy to fish up a 3rd one. Miraculously though, I did catch that much needed anchovy while Willy was fishing right next to me. I went to him as fast as I could to hand him over. I was so happy that I'd managed to do it before the buzzer. The only thing was, my prize ticket fell in the ocean because my inventory was full. I stood there for a while in disbelief. I wanted to scream, but I did not. I walked home with all my fish and my 12 bars of copper, hoping that my ticket might be in Lewis's lost and found box the next day. Needless to say, the ticket wasn't in the fucking box. At this point, I was honestly fuming and I was embarrassed of myself. Day 8 was definitely a gloomy one. I didn't even attempt going back in the mines, which was definitely what I should have done. I have some lingering hope that maybe someday my ticket will be with the crow in the secret woods. So I went and upgraded my axe at Clint's. I know about the chair trick, but I wouldn't have had enough money for the crow anyway, so there was no use for that. My pickaxe not being upgraded didn't bother me at this point, so I knew I was probably going to upgrade my axe twice in a row. I spent some time clearing up my farm so I'd feel like I hadn't wasted my day, and when I ran out of energy, I decided to use my brand new elf blade to clear the grass. It looks totally normal and cool. All I really accomplished during that day was finally making a scarecrow for my crops. This was the last day I played in my first session, so I focused on anger management before launching the game back up and starting day 9. On day 9, I finally went back to the mines after a couple of days away. I was focusing on killing every single creature I came across, really trying to make a dent in those Adventurers Guild goals. I thought to set up a chest on the ground floor so I could go back every 5th floor and put everything I had gathered in it. On floor 27, a bug gave me a propeller hat. I had never been happier in my entire life. I'm pretty sure this wasn't a lucky day at all though, because I got 2 infested floors. On floor 28, I got swarmed by at least 459 flies at once and somehow still survived, but I had to run out of there if I wanted it to stay that way. I can say with confidence now that the elf blade is not the right weapon for flies. I reached level 2 in mining and combat in the night, and I woke up on day 10 to a beautiful cherry blossom day. Seeing as it was Wednesday, Morris was standing in front of Pierre's store waving coupons in the air. I dreamt of kicking him in the shins while on my way over to Clint's to get some of my geodes obliterated. With my low inventory capacity though, I had to go donate to the museum quickly and go back to Clint's to finish my stack. It was kind of humiliating to be honest, especially when I ran out of money with 3 geodes left to open. The rest of my day was spent donating to the community center, planting seeds, and foraging. I got the Linus garbage can cutscene in the evening, and I feel compelled to say that I cried the first time I saw it. On day 11, I got a visit from Andy in the early morning, and this time he offered me no strawberries or sloppy toppy, but instead he taught me about crows and told me to put up more scarecrows when he realized I already had one. Thanks for nothing, Andy. I went down to the forest to chop birch trees because I still needed birch seeds for my tree farm I was trying to set up, but also to fetch Robin's axe that she had lost. When I went to deliver the axe to Robin, I also shopped around for some flooring recipes. It was not a wise financial decision in hindsight. I decided to spend the rest of my day in the mines, making it just short of floor 35 by almost dying on floor 34, and running out of there with my tail between my legs. Now, one problem I haven't mentioned so far because it had never really been an issue until this day is that my recording software blocks exactly where I see the time of day at the top of my screen. That means I only know it's midnight when the game warns me that it's getting late. That's why I was chilling in the Adventurers Guild at 1 AM getting my prize of a bughead sword, and also why I fainted in the middle of my farm when I was running to bed. I genuinely had no idea how late it was, just that it was late. With level 3 foraging, I woke up with high energy and in good spirits despite the previous night's fumble. That morning, I heard of Susan, some poor woman stuck near the train tracks because some huge rock had fallen on the way down to town. I don't know where that early game dude with his pickaxe breaking up the rock on the way to the mines had gone. It felt like we really needed a niche worker like that in our community. I remembered I had my furnace down on the beach, so I went to pick it up because I wanted to make some bars with my newly collected ores. I got a cutscene with Lewis explaining the same thing Susan had already explained in her letter. As the day went by, it really settled how bad of an idea it had been to spend so much money on flooring the day before because it was traveling cart day and I barely had any money. I sold my old health blade and foraged things to sell to Pierre, but I couldn't scrape by enough money to buy a 700 gold pomegranate. I very rarely remember the traveling cart at all, so on the days that I remember it exists, I always try to buy something for the community center. I ended up in a new part of the map near an abandoned farm where I found a clearing with a bunch of random swords on the ground. I got quite lost, and when I finally found my way out, both Pierre's and the traveling cart were closed for the day. On day 13, I woke up to wonderful news. It was the egg hunt today. I got all my affairs in order back on the farm and made my way up to the Adventurers Guild to sell a sword I'd found the day before, but it was closed for the day. I needed traveling cart money the previous day, and now I suddenly needed strawberry seed money. I could only get 7 seeds, but that's still better than what I expected. I saw Shane in his cute pink shirt, drank Pam's spiked punch until I saw triple, spoke to everyone in my disturbing yet charming inebriated state, and lost the egg hunt to a bunch of 6-year-olds. I'll get you next year, Jas and Vincent. This isn't a promise, it's a threat. On day 14, I reached level 2 farming and put it to good use by fucking off to the mines all day. I was finding ladders really fast at first, and they were often already there when I'd get down to a floor, so I thought it must have been a pretty lucky day. My luck turned when I reached floor 40 though, and suddenly ladders seemed impossible to find and I could barely find anything useful. I think it's time for me to start looking up my luck in the morning, so I stopped guessing and going off of vibes. I made it down to floor 45 before I had to call it for the night. Level 3 mining and combat on day 15, baby! Rainy day meant no watering, so I used that extra time to chop some more trees and remove rocks from my farm. I pumped myself up to complete the construction bundle in the community center, which changes quite a bit with Stardew Expanded. Instead of 198 wood, 10 hardwood, and 99 stone, I had to give 499 wood, 30 hardwood, 199 stone, and 30 clay. It may have been very stupid to try to complete this so early game while having no farm buildings built, but I felt like I needed to get something completed. And anyway, I couldn't find the last 3 clay I needed to really get it over with. I decided the next bundle I'd tackle was the Adventurers bundle and that I would try to get the 99 slimes for it. For now, I only had the bat wings. I also fainted while looking for clay in the ground and hallucinated a fairy flying over my farm and blessing my carrots. Yeah. Leveling up my foraging meant full energy on day 16, and I needed to get 5 gold quality parsnips before the end of the season, so I really needed that. I planted a lot of parsnips, some with speed grow and some with basic fertilizers, so I'd have more harvests and more chances to get them before spring would be over. Once that was done, I prepared to head over to the mines and made a devastating mistake in the process. I trashed my bughead sword. I could have restarted the day and pretended that fumble had never happened, but I found a battery pack in the trash while on my way back from Pierre's, and I really didn't want to lose that. I went to the mines anyway with a bat I'd found on my previous trip there, only making it to floor 50 because I got stuck for literal in-game hours on floor 49, having to break almost every rock until killing a bat gave me the ladder. A good thing was I ended up not needing to farm for 99 slimes because I found a solar essence. And with that, the Adventurers bundle was done. On day 17, it was raining again, so I decided early that I was probably going to fish all day. I still needed many fish for the community center, and it was a nice way to make some income. I am so very bad at getting income in the early game, as you may have already noticed. I made lots of bait and brought my crab pots with me to the beach. I also brought some old fish I'd caught and wanted to sell to Willie, but when I saw how close I was to getting the fiberglass rod, I sold some of my bait too to be able to afford it. So much for making money with fish. I was now flat broke. I had 1 gold to my name, and that hit a bit too close to home. I did fish for almost the whole day and ended up getting an eel, which I needed for the community center. On my way back to the farm, I saw that Leah was requesting a bar of refined quartz, so I smelted her one while I was doing late night farm pond fishing. I woke up to level 3 farming and level 4 fishing on day 18, but most importantly to a massive amount of ripe salmon berry in the forest. Being close to Leah's house, I just waited until she came out to give her the refined quartz. She was like, "I'm gay," and I was like, "Here's your quartz." Really simple trade. Later that day, I brought more geodes to Clint, and I was able to donate a bunch of minerals to the museum. I arranged the museum all pretty with the few things I'd gathered for it before going back to my farm for some deforestation. I then began the project of building my tree farm, but I honestly can't tell you what I was thinking. It was so ugly and uneven, and I took all of it apart the next day. Obviously, I started day 19 by taking this monstrosity off of my land. I then rebuilt something that I liked much better, planting the trees first and working around them. Once they're all fully grown, I'll put a tapper on every single tree. Of course, I needed birch water, maple syrup, pine tar, and oak resin for a bunch of bundles in the community center, but you also need those bitches for a bunch of crafting recipes, and it's annoying to wait for one of your tappers to produce more. I'm an industrial farmer, I need efficiency. I harvested some parsnips and none of them were gold quality, so I got nervous and bought more. If I wasn't able to put these parsnips in the bundle, I would have to wait a whole year before I could get them again. Demetrius asked for a sardine in exchange for a prize ticket, and I accepted it gladly after my first ticket went swimming with the fishes. I got 12 carrot seeds, which is pretty good to get in late spring, since they only take 3 days to grow. Then the rest of my day was spent river and mountain lake fishing, catching a bullhead for the community center, as well as a diamond in a mystery chest. I'll take it. Mr. Key dropped his mystery boxes in the middle of the night, but I was none the wiser as I woke up to a sunny day on day 20. I still couldn't get a gold quality parsnip to save my life, so I went to get more seeds. Again. Slowly but surely, I was crafting basic sprinklers, hoping to make my summer crops water themselves. Having to water everything myself is definitely one of the most irritating early game things in my opinion. It takes so much of my energy away, and I need that energy to go in the mines. I yearn for the mines. This was the last day of my second session and I was determined to go a lot further down. Without my bug head sword though, it was a lot harder to attack the creatures efficiently. That bat I found kinda sucks, to be honest. I made it down to floor 57 before I had no choice but to get out. And I did faint in my brand new tree farm as I was hauling ass home. New session meant getting my focus back and taking a firm stance on what I needed to work on. Clearly, the main issue was the monetary situation. I still didn't have the backpack upgrade, I couldn't get any of my tools upgraded, and I didn't have a single farm building like a coop or a barn. I had to, as they say in gamer speak, lock in. Everything I didn't absolutely need to keep went to the selling bin, and all the money I had went into more parsnip seeds. Parsnips aren't the most lucrative spring one crop, but I still needed my 5 gold quality ones, and I thought planting the most that I could purchase would allow me to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Get money and get 5 gold parsnips. I usually try not to sell crops until the season is changed because you get more for out of season crops, but that is not very realistic for me on this farm. I had a chat with Leah about the community garden that felt like a threat before I could make it to Pierre's to buy more seeds. With 54 parsnip seeds in my pocket, I was certain I'd have my 5 gold quality ones with the next harvest. Thank you, but that they only take 4 days to grow. I got the sewer cutscene, but now Marlon supposedly has the key. I don't know what this means and what I have to do to get that key, but I assume it has something to do with the Adventurers Guild slaying goals. I fished a little bit in the evening before calling it a day. I leveled up to farming level 4 and level 5 foraging in the night, and I picked the gatherer profession. I've not had any trouble finding wood so far, so I didn't see the use for forester. I woke up with fat stacks on day 22, so I could write 2 things off my list. Get the first backpack upgrade and upgrade my pickaxe. Yes, I know I said I'd upgrade my axe twice before the pickaxe, but that was before I realized how abysmal I was with money in the early game. I spent the rest of the day foraging, walking around talking to people, and fishing in the ocean, and that was pretty much it. Day 23 is when it finally happened. I had picked 1 gold quality parsnip the day before, and with the 4 I picked that morning, I had enough for the community center. I didn't waste any time and ran over there right away to drop them off before I even watered my crops. After a quick geode busting and museum donating, I got busy removing rocks and trees from my farm once again. I like to be done clearing the farm completely before summer, but I had to pick my battles in spring and chose to spend more energy in the mines than on my land. I ended up spending the rest of my day doing that. The farm was in need of a lot of love. On day 24, I woke up to a nice harvest and sent it all to rot in the selling bin. It was the flower dance on that day, and I could have decided not to go since I didn't have a relationship good enough with anyone to actually dance, but it was nice to look at everyone in their pretty outfits. I wasn't extremely concerned with relationships on this playthrough. Of course I wanted to be friends with the villagers, but I wasn't going out of my way to talk to every single villager every day or give gifts. Usually I already have some hearts with my marriage candidate of choice by that point, but I still hadn't met my future husband this time around. I needed to repair the boat for that. And I know that sounds creepy and like I'm talking about Leo. I'm not talking about Leo. Get that out of your head! On day 25, I meet Lewis at my door, who had just come around to collect what I had in the shipping bin. I don't know why he felt the need to tell me Sophia and Pierre had so much stuff to sell, but it felt like he was telling me I didn't have shit in comparison. Fuck off my farm, Lewis. I was now drowning in gold parsnips, and it felt good not to have to worry about that anymore and be able to just sell them. I kept the strawberries for Maru at first, but then I ate them in the mines. Sorry, Maru. I made it all the way down to floor 72 in the mines. I was zooming, dude. My new goal was to reach floor 100 before the end of the season, so I had to blow through almost 50 floors in 4 days. Not impossible, but definitely a challenge, for me at least. In the night, I leveled up to level 5 farming, and I chose the tiller profession. Having no animals yet, it felt odd to pick rancher. I also leveled up to mining level 4, but that's less exciting. I had to go pick up my stuff from the chest in the mines because I expected to faint the previous night and I didn't want to lose anything I'd gathered, so I fully emptied my inventory in there. Pro gamer strat right there, take notes. This just in, it was Friday and I remembered the traveling cart. I know! I got a crocus, a large cow's milk, a red mushroom, and a nautilus shell. Some will probably say it's not so smart to buy things you're sure to find in nature in the right season, but my brain likes it too much when I complete things. I can't do anything about this. I went in the wizard's basement where he got mad at me for trespassing, but I was just trying to speak to him for days because I completed a mission for him. I had to go there to even find him in the first place. Men never know what they want for real. It was pretty late to go in the mines when I finally got there, but I still made it to floor 80. I can't show you much after that because my recording software decided to shit itself. I love technology. On day 27, I watered my crops at the speed of light and I ran back to the mines. It was a lucky day, so I knew it was my shot to get as far as I could in a single trip. I found out carrying a dagger for things like bats and those black things with the body shape of my father worked really well, and a sword for the slimes. That was the best combo for me. It had been very hard to bounce back from the loss of my bug head, and I was still getting adjusted. I made it to floor 90 at 3 p.m. and I decided then that I would make it all the way down to 100 that night. Unfortunately, I was victim to a fatal slime launch on floor 98. Devastating, but we move along. Last day of spring, so I destroy my crops out of anger. No one can blame me for that. It was back to the mines after that, easily reaching floor 100 and pulling through to floor 110 at 1 a.m. I had exceeded my goal and the bottom of the mines was now closer than ever. Once again, I put everything away that I didn't want to lose and I ran home with just stones and wood in my pockets. The first day of the season is always a busy one, and on top of needing to purchase all the seeds I would need, I had to figure out a layout for my farm by putting down some flooring and give time to my brain to understand how to place basic sprinklers efficiently. It took me so long to do all that it was 2:30 when I finally started planting seeds. I did so well with the left side of my crops. I figured out sprinklers quickly and knew I wouldn't have to bother with my melons until they would be fully ripe. So explain to me why I fucked up the right side so badly. Like, what is this? It was so inefficient that I refused to waste a sprinkler on this spot. I was going to punish myself by watering those two plants every day. Yes, if you were wondering, it really did take me a whole day to plant melons. It's day 30 now. Shut up. At least now I had everything I wanted planted in the ground, so I took a trip to my fruit bat cave where I found 2 apples and 2 pomegranates. Good thing I didn't buy that 700 gold pomegranate, I guess. I was now 1 apple away from that stupid father's bundle. For some reason, it's always the last thing I find, 3 goddamn apples. I quickly made my way down to floor 115 of the mines before going to bed that night. There was an explosion in the night, but I also got combat level 6. Susan was at my door that morning telling me that she'd finally been freed. It was about goddamn time. It took so long that I had time to forget she existed. I spent day 31 donating to the community center, fishing for Sophia, who requested a sunfish, and then fishing for fun. I also had 8 gold, so like for fun and for money. With the ticket Sophia gave me, I got a peach sapling, and I don't know if that's sacrilegious, but I sold it. I could have kept it for later, but I also didn't want to. On day 32, I woke up to a nice amount of money from all the fish I sold, and I really needed that after buying all these seeds. In the background, I was putting tappers on all the trees in the tree farm that were fully grown. I was crafting around 1 tapper a day, and soon enough, they would all start paying off. I finally got a coop to be built on my farm. It felt a bit late for that, but I'd had other priorities. I was tying up loose ends that day, fishing up the sturgeon and the largemouth bass for the community center, making it to floor 120 in the mines and getting the skeleton key, catching the lava eel on floor 100 and the ghost fish on floor 60. I was in the zone like Britney Spears. On day 33, I got more melon seeds in the mail from Susan, so I planted them quickly. I don't know what she expects of me though, because I definitely accept handouts, but I do not give back. Also, I realized I forgot to mention this helmet I was now wearing. I found a helmet. I didn't have a huge amount of money, but I still got the crops I needed to grow to complete the summer crops bundle and planted them with the melons I got that morning. I decided to go up to where Susan's house is for the first time, and I was taken hostage by Clint, who told me to come to his place for him to tell me the ingredients he'd need to make a bomb. Weirdo ass. Friday meant social gathering, so I went to speak to everyone at the saloon, but I forgot Friday also meant traveling cart day. Fuck my baka life. On day 34, I gathered more ores for my smelting needs, reloading floor 15 for copper and floor 60 for iron. I was good on gold and would be for a while. I also took the opportunity to kill everything I saw since I could now one-shot most creatures. 500 dust sprites were not going to die just like that. I stayed there mining until it got too late and I had to leave. Real recluse vibes. I kinda loved it. Day 35 was a rainy one, which could have been of no use to me, but I now had some crops without sprinklers, so it was definitely welcome. I didn't forget the traveling cart that day, but all she had that could be of any use to me was a cactus fruit, and I did buy it despite the insane asking price of 600 gold. I then remembered I had a coop build, so I went to get a couple of chicks from Marnie. I named them Sabrina and Chapel. I needed a frog for the community center, so I tried to fish for one in the mountain lake. You can only catch them in the evening and on rainy days. I finally managed to hook and catch one when it was almost midnight. I went to drop it off at the center right away. I thought to craft lightning rods, so on day 36 I had a bunch of battery packs ready. We'd be good on the battery packs front from now on. I could already smell the lava from the volcano. Does lava have a smell? I don't know anything. I made 2 preserve jars even though I had no fruit to put in them yet. It was good to have for later. I realized late that day that with my now doubly upgraded axe I could enter the secret woods. I knew that's where I would be able to find the wood skip, fiddlehead fern, the lucky 4-leaf clover, and the red bean berry, all needed for the community center. I managed to find fiddlehead fern and a rafflesia, but nothing else that I needed, and now I smelled like shit. On day 37, Shane gives me a pizza that I keep to give back to him later. I have my first pine tar ready that day, and it was storming again, so we'd get more battery packs the next morning. It was all coming up beep beep. I went back to the secret woods that morning, finding a poison mushroom and lots of red bean berry. I didn't have my sword though, so I was out of there pretty quickly. I wouldn't be able to stand there and fish without a sword for the slimes. I went to give what I'd found to the community center. I finished the summer foraging bundle and made a dent in exotic foraging too. It was pretty unlike myself in this playthrough, but I spent the rest of the day giving people gifts. I had some things I was hanging on to that were loved gifts for some of them, so I played Santa for a little bit. At that point, my best friend was Abigail. She invited me to play King of the Prairie with her, and we fucking decimated those green football players. Let's go! She died twice, and I only died once. Quiet, Abigail, a real gamer is speaking. There was a second there where I thought we were gonna kiss. I gave Martin a diamond and he didn't even like it that much. I'm never doing this again. On day 38, I realized I needed a poppy and a sunflower for the community center, so I went to buy seeds for them only to see Morris in front of the store. That meant it was Wednesday. I stepped on my pride and got ready to shop at Joja, but they didn't even have poppy seeds. What kind of fucking big box store is that? Even Walmart has poppy seeds in the spring. I did buy the one sunflower seed, but I was never doing business there again. I remembered my mine chest still existed, so I went up there to see if there was anything valuable I wanted to take home with me. While I was there, I mined for a bit for some iron and tried to kill every dust sprite I saw. Clint wanted me to kill 18 of them for some reason. I guess he really hates the bastards. Abigail reminded me it was the luau on the next day, and I realized with horror that I didn't have anything that would be good enough for it. I could smoke a good quality fish, but I didn't even know the smoker recipe yet. A gold quality flounder it would be, and everyone would have to be okay with that. Day 39 was the day of the luau, and I didn't harvest anything in the morning that would have been worthy of the communal soup. I did make a bee house in the morning so I could soon kiki with my brethren. Soon enough, I had to run to the luau, slimy flounder in hand. I always feel weird bringing fish because if this wasn't meant to be a fish soup, everyone was about to have one hell of a surprise. If I wasn't expecting something to taste like fish and it then tasted like fish, I would probably spit it out. I spoke to everyone at the festival, going out of my way to fist bump with the wizard. Soon enough, it was time for the fishy surprise, and the governor said it was good. Bro enjoyed the fishy surprise. On day 40, I had my first jams, my first birch water, and my first oak resin. Huge day for viscous liquids. I kind of forgot my chickens since I bought them, and they were now fully grown and laying eggs for me. What good girls my Sabrina and Chapel are. I downloaded an automatic mod where if you place a chest next to a machine that contains an object the machine can transform, it will do so automatically and drop the finished product in that same chest. I then put a mayonnaise machine next to the chest with the eggs in it, and I let it go crazy. As I went down to Cindersnap forest to finally catch that wood skip in the secret woods, I found Jas alone and lost in the the woods. I brought the poor thing back to Marnie's and took the opportunity to buy hay for my chickens I had just remembered existed. It took a while to hook that wood skip, but with patience and a proficiency in fish whispering, I managed to get it. I also walked out of the secret woods with a 4-leaf clover and more fiddlehead fern. When I got back to town though, there was some drama near Harvey's. Andy was screaming at Lewis about not wanting to pay his taxes. He's a broke bitch apparently. Didn't know we had that much in common. I end my day attempting to fish for that butterfish. It looks so cute, but you have to go to buttfuck nowhere to find it. Still though, after a couple of hours of fishing, I found that greasy cutie. That's what they used to call me back in my hometown. On day 41, I murdered my cat first thing in the morning and immediately moved on to picking my ripe melons. I'm a busy girl. The chest situation on my farm was becoming ridiculous. I was starting to need the big chests even though they're the ugliest chests ever. I also needed to find a better spot for them than right fucking there. I went to the mines quickly to try and end 2 rock crabs because I had a mission for that, but I couldn't find any. I wasted almost my whole day down there with nothing to show for it. To help me unwind, I visited the bathhouse for the first time. I looked naked in there. It was slightly scandalous. Ew. I quickly went to give my 5 gold melons as well as a normal melon and a tomato for the various bundles in the community center before falling asleep, planting seeds in my field. On day 42, it was finally the green rain. I had been waiting for it, not because I was excited for it, but because I couldn't wait for it to be over. The green rain is not my favorite, simply put. I wouldn't mind if it was a random chance of it happening in the summer, but having it happen for sure 1 day per summer is frankly too much. I didn't have time for this. On the bright side, I had 5 gold quality butternut squash, and that did make me feel better about the whole thing. I did fix my mistake of the past by setting up a sprinkler that made sense in that goofy spot from before. Now that's honest work. My day was spent clearing stone on my farm, chopping weeds everywhere in town, and gathering a rather large amount of mixed seeds and mixed flower seeds. I tried to speak to everyone, but since I was spending so much time chopping weeds, there were some more remote homes I didn't have time to access until the doors would be locked. I bought a duck egg, a puppy, and a red snapper off the traveling cart. A good haul, I'd say. I also gave the first donation to the vault of 2,500 G. I was only missing the starfish for the ocean fish bundle, so I went to the beach with a heart full of hope and a fuck ton of wood to repair the bridge. I think that animation might be broken during the green rain. Anyway, the first fish I caught was a starfish. Huh. On day 43, I chopped a lot of trees on my farm and found a jester shirt in the process. Look at me, I'm fresh. I was so close on so many bundles and it was all I could think about. At this point, I had decided the next thing I was going to finish would be the vault, so I could unlock the bus. Money had been a problem since the start of the run, but I was sure that with full focus I'd be able to do it in a timely manner. I attempted to fish up a puffer fish, but I couldn't manage before the catch window was over. Fishing was going to be my main moneymaker for a while though, so get used to seeing a lot of fishing right now. Let me tell you one thing, I was going to be tan by the end of the summer, and good, because
I'm so pale.
I ended my day with a trip to the mines. I don't even remember why. I think I was just feeling like it. On day 44, I came to terms with the fact that my crops looked like shit. I was just now ready to accept it, believe it or not. I spent the day fishing and I got the puffer fish I so desired. It was the second to last fish I needed for the specialty fish bundle until I had access to the desert for the sandfish. I gave 5,000 G to the vault, getting one step closer to the beautiful skull caverns. Nobody loves you like I do, baby girl. Since I was waiting around to make money, I finished the boiler room. I definitely had everything ready to finish it. I'm not sure what I'd been waiting for. I watched the Junimo put up the star for me since I am a star. Now, guess what I did with my evening? Guess! I spent it fishing, baby! The Junimos fixed the mine carts in the night, and I woke up on day 45 feeling fresh. I was determined to fish up the king salmon in the coming days, but I wasn't aware that I needed fishing level 8 to even be able to hook it. I spent all day in the depth of Cindersnap forest, fishing up lots of rainbow trout, largemouth bass, and bull trout. The good thing was that I was working on my fishing level, and I would be able to hook that stupid king salmon someday. It's not like I didn't have time for that. I moved to the vanilla forest river in the late evening, catching a couple more fish for money before I was done for the day. I made a lot of money with all my fish and melons, and I woke up on day 46 with 18,000 gold. I made a cookout kit in the morning to cook an egg and bring it to the community center since I didn't have a kitchen yet. Country girls make do. On my way to drop it off, Demetrius spoke to me about the fountain in the park and why this place was called Stardew Valley. And even though I couldn't care less, I told him I was glad that I learned something new. I was able to give a persimmon for the dye bundle, the aforementioned fried egg, and 10,000 gold to the vault. Even though things were moving slow, they were moving. With one more finished room, I would unlock the boat to Ginger Island. Now, you have 3 guesses for what I spend the rest of my day doing. Oh, you already guessed? Fishing the whole fucking day? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got it. It was another great payday on day 47, but not enough to afford the last bundle for the vault. In hindsight, I should have been upgrading my tools while I was doing this, but that would have cost me money I wasn't willing to lose at the time. The traveling cart was in town, so I stopped by and purchased the rabbit's foot. It was pretty expensive, but so much cheaper than upgrading my coop and buying a rabbit. I was actually saving money when you thought about it. I was now 1 item away from finishing the wizard's bundle, but I hadn't learned how to craft kegs yet, so it would have to wait a little bit. I fished a bit in the ocean at the end of the day, catching one of the legendary fish before I was even able to hook a king salmon. I thought you had to be level 10 in fishing to catch the legends. The more you know, I guess. I went to socialize at the saloon, sold my catches of the day, and went to bed. On day 48, it was the first day of the trout derby, and as if I hadn't gone fishing enough in the past days, I headed down there for some great catches. I only managed to get 3 tickets on the first day. I went fishing deeper in Cindersap forest again, even though I now knew I had no chance to hook the king salmon. I really wanted to get that stupid salmon before I had enough money to repair the bus. That way, the specialty fish bundle would be done much faster. I finally hooked it in the early evening since I had leveled up to level 8 while fishing in the trout derby. I was quite happy that I wouldn't have to try catching it again. I went to bed rather early that day. I was so done with fishing. On day 49, I had 22k in the bank, which meant I only needed 1 more day to get all the money for the vault. As I walked down to the forest to check out the traveling cart, Willie told me all about the king salmon and that I could now fish it up in the river. That was pretty wild. I had no idea and had definitely not caught one yesterday. Thanks so much, Willie. The traveling cart didn't have anything for me, so I went up to give Demetrius the melon he had asked for. I had nothing better to do, and it brought me closer to my financial goal. It was the last day of the trout derby, and even though my salmon was caught, I still needed money. I went to the river one last time to fish for those beautiful rainbow trouts, standing close to the twins from The Shining. I wanted to be the sole reason rainbow trouts went extinct. I wasn't very lucky and only got 1 more ticket though, but I wasn't fishing for the prizes, I was fishing for the bus. I could finally use my time for something else than fishing, so I spent it breaking rocks on my land in preparation for the stairs I would have to craft. I had just enough money on day 50 to finish the vault, and it was raining, so I was able to run over there pretty much straight away to cash it in. I was also able to finish the summer crops bundle only now because I had sold my first harvest of blueberries. I put the crystallarium to work right away, duplicating jades for even more stairs. I could barely remember the traveling cart though, so I don't know why I thought I'd remember to get staircases for jades on Saturdays. As I waited for the bus to be repaired, I cleared up more of my farm from wood and stone. Mentally, I was more than ready for the skull caverns. I used to be very scared of them in the past, but I decided to stop sucking ass at the game, and now I'm okay. I also use more bombs now, and that's really the secret to a successful skull caverns run. Now, I wish I could tell you why, but after a successful day of no fishing, I went back to the deep end of Cindersnap forest and I fished some more. I'm exhausted just looking at the footage. The bus was repaired in the night, and I woke up on day 51 with a new goal: to not die. I know, that was a pretty bold goal for me. I got my inventory ready with all my bombs, my stairs, and lots of food, and I was in the bus as soon as possible. Now, it needs mentioning that I have a mod to add an elevator to the skull caverns. You're allowed to think that it's the coward's way out, but I've personally decided I liked to play games for fun, and I had more fun that way. I know that's so self-indulgent. How dare I do anything for my own enjoyment? I met my first serpent on floor 3, and my fight or flight decided to flee. I was able to annihilate the second one I saw, and I was then filled with the warrior spirit. I let out a primal scream even. You'll just have to trust me on that. It was a pretty average first skull caverns run. I got a prehistoric floor on floor 26, but didn't get a single egg, and I made it down to floor 30 by using 2 staircases at the last minute. I woke up on day 52 with level 7 combat, a challenge from Mr. Key that I had already completed, and lots of syrups and tars. The last one doesn't sound so exciting, but we cannot forget our humble beginnings. My summer crops were coming along nicely. My good country pop girls were producing good thick eggs. So I was gonna spend one more day in the Skull Caverns with peace of mind. This was a well-oiled machine. I started at level 30 since I'm the ultimate fraud, and I was focusing on getting as much iridium as possible. I found my first prismatic shard on floor 39, which was going to make slaying those serpents so much easier. Not that I had much trouble with it, to be honest. I was impressing myself. I'm usually their little bitch. I started getting swarmed on floor 53 and 54, so I had to flee because frankly I was dying, but I did it gladly because I was going to get the galaxy sword right away. On day 53, I got the money from Mr. Key, harvested some bullshit, and realized I'd been to that goddamn desert the last 2 days in a row and had not brought my fishing rod to catch that ugly fish. I wasn't locking in. I went to give Clint the iridium ore he needed for that bomb he was making, which is part of the work my foundation does for a world without me loneliness. Basically, we encourage their need to violently murder everyone they feel is responsible for their lack of riz in hopes that it somehow fixes the problem. Now, this may shock you, but I was headed back to the caverns in the late morning. I began by catching the sandfish and then moved on to the caverns. I didn't have a single bomb, so it was a slow ass run. Any progress was good though with the help of my elevators. Aren't you jealous that I get it so easy? I got an iridium sprinkler on floor 67. It was in a fancy box, so I felt like mentioning it. I also got lucky and found another prismatic shard on floor 70. I gathered everything I could before I absolutely had to use my farm totem and leave. Clint blew up the boulder up the railroad in the night, and it was raining on day 54. Sabrina graced me with a large white egg that morning, so I was able to donate 2 things to the community center. I did the miracle of not forgetting the cart before going to the desert that day, but I also remembered that I wanted to upgrade my coop, and I did it as soon as I thought about it. That's honestly crazy for me. I suck so bad at taking action. The traveling cart lady had a maki roll and spicy eel for me, and I was then able to purchase the last backpack upgrade. This was a really big day for me actually. After all that, it was Skull Caverns time for some more mining. It was another day of no bombs, but that was fine for me since what I really wanted was more ores and an auto petter, but that wasn't a priority for now. My pickaxe only being upgraded to copper was starting to bother me though, and I knew I'd have to do something about that soon. I went out at floor 95 to get some bombs just to make sure I'd get those last 5 floors down to 100. I got 3 iridium bars in the chest since you don't get that weird ass milk thing unless you've read the secret note number 10. I didn't even have the ability to read secret notes yet, so I didn't get it. On day 55, I fulfilled George's request for a hot pepper before it was too late, and then, yeah, I went back to the caverns. What of it? Floors 120 and 124 were prehistoric floors, and I was lucky enough to find 2 dinosaur eggs on this run, one for donating, one for hatching. I had bombs this time around, so I was blasting through floors a lot faster than the days before. Somehow, floor 152 was another prehistoric floor. I was about to be the sole reason the dinosaurs were gonna go extinct a second time. I made it to floor 155 before I decided I was done for the day. The days of staying in the caverns until 1:30 a.m. were already behind me. I leveled up to level 10 mining and chose gemologist for my profession because I was about to start selling my excess gems. I'm following the teachings of my sister, who advised me to sell gems anytime I had more than 10 of the same one. I also reached level 8 combat. Killing all those ancient dinosaurs was really paying off. I bought a duck feather at the traveling cart, and now all I needed for the dye bundle was a godforsaken red cabbage. I had a rather large amount of omni geodes, so I went to get them all smashed to pieces. As it was the last day of summer, I was getting ready for autumn by removing all my crops, even for the corn, since I already had my 5 gold cobs anyway, and I didn't want any crops I'd have to water myself. Reaching that blank state early would also make it easier to decide on a look for my farm. Don't expect anything great though. I am so bad at decorating my farms. I took the step and made hardwood fences, and only once I put them all down did I decide to change the wood flooring I was using. That's just how I roll. I love wasting my own time. I made it down to the beach just in time for the moonlight jellies, and as I watched them shine in the ocean, the only thing I could think of was how much work I still had to do on the farm. On day 57, Robin was done upgrading my coop, so I was able to incubate my dinosaur egg. Until Pierre's store would be open, I continued the work I had started the day before on fixing up my farm and changing all the wood floors. At Pierre's, I got a bunch of pumpkin seeds, some sweet potato, eggplant, bok choy, and yams. And I thought sweet potatoes and yams were the same thing. What the hell? I also got some cranberry seeds and one amaranth for Marnie. I set up my new sprinklers, trying to use the space in the best way possible. I also used a huge part of my day moving my stuff from chest to chest to add flooring underneath them, which is always one of my favorite tasks. Oh my god. I liked how it was coming along a lot more than my old summer setup. Although you'd be right to think that that wasn't very hard to beat. The way down to the coop would one day be decorated as well, but that day wasn't today. On day 58, I was determined to get my pickaxe upgraded, but for some reason my furnace had not been spitting out iron bars despite having so much iron ore in a chest next to it. I had to craft 5 bars before 4 p.m. if I wanted to be able to upgrade it that day, and that wouldn't be possible. I crafted my first keg, which I'd been waiting for very impatiently since I needed wine for the wizard's bundle. I set it up right away, slowly but surely turning persimmon to wine. I make do with what I have. I accepted a quest on the brand new special orders board to get 100 pieces of bone for Gunther in the next 6 days. I knew this was something I would have to do in tandem with not having access to my pickaxe for a couple of days while it was being upgraded, and I accepted the consequences in advance. I deal pretty well with things that are mildly infuriating after all. I spent the evening getting some artifacts from the dirt and got lucky finding some amber, which is added with the Expanded mod and is needed for the field research bundle in the community center. It was the last thing I needed to finish it, and that's always a great feeling. On my way home from foraging on the beach, Shane told me he'd give me a pot of gold if I left him alone. What a fucking bitch. On day 59, I finally had my 5 iron bars, but I unfortunately forget I also needed to have money to get my tools upgraded. That could happen to anyone, and I won't let it define me. I decided to wait a little bit to do the upgrade and started collecting those bones. I'd have to be down to floor 70 quite often to get 100 of them. It was fine though, because I love grave robbing. It was pretty slow going at first, but I started getting floors with tons of skeletons on them and collecting multiple fragments per slain skeleton. When I left the mines that day, I had 41 bones already. I visited the Adventurers Guild on my way out of the mines, and Marlon congratulated me on getting the Galaxy Sword and told me I could now purchase Galaxy weapons from him. That would have to wait though, seeing as I was too broke to get a pickaxe upgrade. And here I go, letting it define me like I said I wouldn't. On day 60, I watered my lone corn that I forgot I needed and had no sprinkler space for before I got ready to go and get my pickaxe upgraded. Again, it was only a tiny problem that I had fainted the night before and got 1k stolen from me, and now could afford the upgrade even less than before. It might be time to let this oversight define me. I fished in the ocean and sold my fish to Willie right away so I'd have enough money that very day for the upgrade. This was standing between me and the Skull Caverns, and you know how I feel about caverns. I got my pickaxe started at about midday and then headed to the mines for more bones. And although it was a little bit annoying to not have a much needed tool in the mines, I still managed to collect 45 more bone fragments. I woke up looking normal and totally not scary on day 61, and I had a visit from Gunther telling me that thanks to my many donations to the museum, I would soon receive a check in the mail. I was finally being recognized for being the only person in this town doing anything. The traveling cart had cabbage seeds and a large goat milk for me, and if you're particularly astute, you may very well be screaming at me from behind your computer screen or your phone, "Cabbages only grow in summer, you moron, you absolute fool." Don't worry, I was going to get the greenhouse fixed in time to grow it and donate it. I got the short and strange cutscene of Marlon heading into the sewers. I mean, hey, Krobus gets lonely too. I don't understand why we can't marry Krobus, and we can only have him as a roommate. I figure he's got needs too. Okay, I should stop saying things like that to my impressionable audience. I got a silo built on the farm, yes, only now. I then went to the secret woods to find a mushroom colony for the community center, and I also had fun killing the local slime population. With the mushroom colony, all I had left to fulfill the crafts room was a couple of winter forageables. Little relationship check, Demetrius is now my best friend. Might kill myself. I'll keep you guys posted. I decided to do some gift giving with the rest of my day, giving Sebastian a frozen tear, Abigail an amethyst, Emily an emerald, Alex a field snack, Shane a hot pepper, Marnie a diamond, Willie some quartz, and the wizard a void essence. I was mainly trying to get my friendship up with Emily for the cloth and Marnie for the mayor shorts. I ended my day with a bit more grave robbing, getting 12 more bone fragments. On day 62, my pickaxe was ready. I got 40k gold from Gunther and I knocked my chest askew somehow. Big day so far. When I showed up at Emily's place that morning to give her a blue rock and get my cloth, she was dreaming about me. Must have been a nightmare with this mask I have on. I got my pickaxe, collected the last bones I needed, and moved on to chop hardwood in the secret woods. I decided to pickle my gold carrot I found very early on in game so I could use it for the Stardew Fair. I had a feeling it would give me a lot of points. I also aged some pufferfish roe for the same purpose. I was aiming to show everyone how bougie I could be. On day 63, I went to the traveling card right away, but since I was completing so many bundles, the seller was carrying less and less things I might need. As a matter of fact, there was absolutely nothing I needed on that day. I delivered the bones to Gunther, exchanged my prize ticket for a star drop tea, and processed some frozen geodes. It kind of helped heal my pain, but not as much as a bookseller could. It was the first time I had enough money to purchase books, and you can be sure I did that. Flexing on you with my copies of Mining Monthly and the Stardew Valley Almanac. With my brand new silo, I spent a good while scything the grass on my farm until it would be full, which happened pretty quickly, all things considered. There was a lot of grass on my farm, like lots. I got a barn built since I wasn't finding a truffle in the traveling cart, so I bit the bullet and decided I'd do the work and get a pig if I fucking had to. I would become the pig even. Oink, bitch. I asked Marlon to fetch my potatoes I had lost at some point when I died somewhere, I guess. I don't know why I did that. I then entered the back room and got the secret power to get a discount when using the item recovery service right after I requested my potatoes. God damn it. On day 64, I received my potatoes. Thanks so much, Marlon. Robin was building my barn and I was fishing in my crops. It was the start of a good day. I waited very patiently in front of Emily's house to give her an emerald at 9 a.m. sharp. I really needed that cloth and she would just not send it to me. I then fetched the mayor's shorts from Marnie's room and I kept them just in case I didn't have a worthy display for the fair and needed to display those instead. I spent the rest of my day in the skull caverns. Thankfully, I now had my upgraded pickaxe and I could go back to blowing shit up massively. It was also a very lucky day, so I had high hopes for everything I would get as special rooms and monster loot. I unfortunately did not find a single special room, and my monster loot was nothing special. I also ran out of bombs really fast, which did not help. I did not feel lucky at all. I did complete the monster slayer goals for bats, and I guess that's not bad. I made it down to floor 188 before I had to run out of there. On day 65, I got a letter in the mail from Emily and it was a salad recipe. Emily, I need a cloth. I didn't want a fucking salad. The amaranth and the wine were ready that morning, so I took a little jaunt to the city to drop them off. The enchanter's bundle was now completed and I only needed a red cabbage, a truffle, and a piece of candy to finish the bulletin board. Now, I have this disease called always goes to the skull caverns way too late in the day. And yes, it's terminal. I just want to do everything every day, so I end up doing stuff like going to the desert at 2 p.m. I gave Sandy the star drop tea I found since I met her a lot later than all the other people in town and I don't see her as often as everyone else. And then I took a dip to the caverns. Floor 191 was a special floor and I found an auto grabber. Pure gamer moment right there. I almost died on floor 207, but my legendary skill saved me from certain death. Witness my legendary skill, boy. My focus this time was to go down as far as I could, and somehow at some point I found cloth. No matter what, this was an ultimate win. It was another very lucky day on day 66 and I had a visit from Marnie asking me to bring her a cave carrot and from Emily giving me access to her sewing machine. I'm pretty sure in the moment I thought the cloth in my inventory was from her, but it very much wasn't. It was what triggered the cutscene. The barn was fully built now, so I went to Marnie's to get a cow. I decided to keep up with my pub girl naming scheme, and so I named her Lord. I wanted to get the upgraded barn right away, so I chopped wood all the way over to Robin's house. I tried to never buy building supplies from Robin. It feels like such a waste. You can really tell my Skull Cavern's too late condition is worsening because I got all my stuff ready to head to the Skull Caverns only to run into Pam leaving the bus stop. I don't know how I didn't notice it was so late already. I decided to spend the rest of the day giving some gifts instead. I even tried to fish up a Joja Cola for Sam, but I couldn't find one. On day 67, I re-prepared for the Skull Caverns, went to give Marnie her stupid carrot and Penny a poppy I'd kept for her and couldn't give her the previous day. I then went to see Sebastian because he needed a copper bar for some dubious reason, and then I was finally able to go to the desert. I'm simply too busy. I was all the way down to floor 230, and I was really hoping to find an auto petter soon, but whenever I want something specific, I find anything but that thing. 5 mystery boxes, my favorite. It was a pretty decent day in the caverns, all things considered, but nothing incredible. It was getting harder and harder to impress me at that point. I reached level 9 combat in the night and woke up to a rainy day on day 68. My eggplants and my yams were ready, so my autumn crops bundle was almost already done with. I remember the traveling card for like the 5th time in a row, so I think it's officially time to acknowledge I have gotten over my always forgots the traveling card condition. I am a survivor. Unfortunately, she had nothing I needed. I got my first train that day. It gave me some rocks and some coal, which I wasn't complaining about. The thing I was short on the most was coal, so I was always happy to get more. My cow was getting pretty lonely with just her and the big barn, so I got a goat that I named Charlie. Don't read too far into the fact that the cow is Lord and the goat is Charlie. They worked it out on the remix. I got the next barn upgrade since the goal was to get a pig, and you can only do that in the deluxe barn. I don't know what's so deluxe about pigs. They bathe in mud and smell like crap all the time. I spent the rest of the day chopping trees since these barn updates were really starting to make a dent in my stash. Day 69, I woke up feeling mature, so I will not be making a 69 joke to everyone's massive disappointment. I started the day off by selling some extra gems I had been collecting and then went into the coop to collect the eggs, only to be notified that my dinosaur egg had hatched. I was so excited about it and I named it Billy. I gave Linus his berry basket right after blackberry season was over. I waited menacingly in front of Pierre's store for it to open and went to give Abigail her favorite food. I wanted her back as my bestie. Demetrius was simply not due. I decided to go to the desert that morning, so I packed stuff and remembered to bring jades as it was Saturday. For some reason though, there were no staircases for sale, so I don't know if that might be something that's changed with Expanded, or maybe I have the wrong day, or maybe I made it all up in my head. I don't know. Whatever it is, make sure to call me stupid in the comments for it. Turns out I googled it, I had the wrong day. It's on Sunday. I don't know why, I was certain it was Saturday. I ran out like a coward on floor 281 to make sure I wouldn't die, so you can decide for yourself if that's a good enough reason. I was focusing more on mining this time around, so I only made it down to floor 296 before I decided to head home. 69. On day 70, a bunch of my crops were ready to harvest and I made my first cheese, so I was able to donate a couple of things to the community center. Since I hate sweet potatoes, I was out there in town giving one to everyone I came across. I couldn't wait to get these off my hands. I didn't even mind not getting money for them. I was handing them out like I was getting rid of a curse. I fished a bit in the river that day looking for the tiger trout. I was a bit dejected because I was going to get everything I needed for the community center except for the goldfish. I did not know at the time, but I needed to catch that fucker in the spring, and so far I had never seen items from Stardew Expanded in the traveling cart, so much to my chagrin, I was learning to accept that I was not going to finish the community center in year 1, much less in 100 days. Slowly but surely, I was donating almost every single crystal and mineral to the museum, and I was still setting them up in rainbow order. Look how cute that is! I got an orange in the traveling cart that morning, so I was able to finish the artisan bundle. It was one more step towards that much needed greenhouse. A whole greenhouse for one cabbage seed was crazy work, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Day 71 was a rainy one and my pumpkins were ready. I gathered 5 gold quality ones without any issue, which was huge for me since it was the last thing I needed to finish the high quality crops bundle. I was then able to also finish the fall crops bundle, and the pantry was now over and done with. As you may know, finishing 3 areas in the community center is what unlocks the boat to Ginger Island. I didn't visit Willie's right away because I kind of forgot, but trust that that's coming soon. I bought supplies to make the candy I needed, which ended up being way more involved than I thought. I had to craft another cooking kit, get 2 different recipes that were not cheap, and use a shocking amount of birch syrup for a single piece of candy. I managed though. I had to get a pig at Marnie's today, but I didn't have enough money, so I sold gems to Clint and sold some Void and Solar Essence to Marlon. I had all the money I needed after that, and I ran back to get that pig. I needed it to come of age before winter so I could get a truffle, since it wouldn't come out of the barn in the winter. It should take 10 days for the pig to grow, so technically I should be able to get a truffle before the end of autumn. I named the pig Brittany, and I also got a duck that I named Ariana. I then worked on catching the walleye. It didn't take too long, but as you know, I wouldn't have minded if it did take a while. Any time spent fishing is time spent winning, in my opinion. Obviously. Because of all my various cave and cavern murders, I was now the proud owner of a vampire ring, which would allow me to gain health every time I slay a monster. When I got home that evening, I crafted an iridium band so I would have all the benefits of my old glow and magnet rings while also being able to wear my new vampire ring. The greenhouse was repaired by the Junimos during the night, and it was the Stardew Fair on day 72. I managed to collect enough quality products to feel confident making an actual display instead of just dropping the mayor's underwear on there. It would have been funny, but 1,000 legitimate points are better than 750 hush-hush points. I gathered everything I needed for the fair. I was going to display some gold quality crops, expensive products like aged pufferfish roe and pickled gold carrots, but the star of the show were the prismatic shard and the iridium bar. Everyone was going to like my product. Before I headed in town for the day though, I planted the red cabbage seed and set up a sprinkler just for that, because I knew I would forget it was there. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. I set up my display right away when I got to the fair, feeling confident in my offerings of the day. Lewis agreed with me because he gave me first place and 1,000 stars. I then went ahead and gambled it all, obviously. It took only a couple of tries, but I got 3,000 stars eventually. 2,000 for the star drop and 1,000 for the prize ticket. According to the fortune teller, Marnie would soon be my special girl I could never forget, and Abigail was going to convince me to have a seance in her bedroom at some point. That all felt fair and true to me. On day 73, I was playing for the first time in weeks after burning out slightly on this video. I had planned to visit Willie's as soon as possible to get the boat going, and I even went to upgrade my watering can in preparation. Of course, this is when I found out that I was wrong. Now, I don't know why I thought I only needed 3 areas completed and not the entire community center, but now I've gone and said it like it was a fact, and I'm not about to re-record audio I did like 3 weeks ago at this point in a chunk of video that took me a week to edit. Like, I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about this video and this game, but I will accept a life lived as a fool of all fools, because now all of China knows that I fucked it all up. The entire time I was doing this video, I was watching Salmence and Haboo and Simsy playing her new extended save, and I managed to learn nothing. If anything, I became dumber. They need to make a study about this phenomenon and publish it in a scientific journal. On day 74, I had a plan. In Lil Simsy's save, she has a mod where neighbors can give you gifts back when you give them something, and she had Penny give her a goldfish. I installed that mod and decided to put all my eggs in that very basket. The red cabbage and the truffle were in the works. I'd get the winter forageables easily on winter 1, so all I had left to do was suck up to Penny in the hopes that she'd give me that stupid fish. Friendship ended with Abigail. Now Penny is my best friend. Rainy day 75, I was feeling pretty bummed overall because my ultimate goal had been to go to Ginger Island as quickly as possible, and now I knew there was a very slim chance I could get it done in under 100 days. The whole point of this video seemed to me like it was a lost cause. There were 25 days left with very little chance to do everything I needed to do, which felt like time spent running in circle for no reason. After my sudden depression, I decided that not every 100-day challenge had to be perfect or showcase ultimate control over the game, especially since I'm playing with a mod I've never explored before and that it is that mod that's holding me back. On day 76, I decided I would make this everyone else's problem and that I would keep bothering all of you with 24 more days of basically nothing. Stay tuned, you never know what could happen. Maybe that'll be fuck all. On day 77, I had a mission to get 30 fresh rocks for Robin, and it was also her birthday, so it was a huge day of friendship gained for the two of us. I got a lot more focused on relationship in the second half of this playthrough, not necessarily making it a focus, but turning to friendship building when I felt like I didn't have much else to do. I was also slowly but surely working on giving Gus 24 eggs, and I don't have that many egg-laying animals, so I really hope he appreciated my selflessness. I also had a bunch of scenes with Abigail in a very short amount of time. I think she's obsessed with me. I woke up on day 78 to the news that Serafina loves me. I'm sure she does. I've never forgotten her water bowl in my entire life. Never. It was around that time that I started checking trash cans more often. I had been checking the usual cans, but the extended mod adds a lot of new and sometimes hidden trash cans that can have a lot of good stuff in them. My hopes were low to find a goldfish in a trash can, though usually people flush those down the toilet. I had a scene with Penny where she was getting yelled at by Pam, and you better be grateful that I can't hurt villagers in this game because she would have gotten a baseball bat to the knees. I finished my day by dying in the skull caverns because I might as well. On day 79, I was preparing for a blitz of 20 days played in a row for my next session, thinking about how I would switch things up on the farm and how I would keep trying to finish the community center in year 1. I got the Friendship 101 book on that day, which would definitely help me on my journey towards discovering what friendship even is. I started getting serious about gifting Marlon as well, since I didn't know how to get the key to the sewer, and having a good relationship with him might just be the ticket. I then killed some dust sprites trying to work on that guild gold, but the 500 is so many and I get bored so easily. Alright, doing something a bit different now. I'm gonna do some live fucking commentary. Oh, we got some, what are these? Cranberries! Did I finish the egg? No, I'm missing one egg. I don't remember what goes where. I haven't played in 3 weeks. Oh, let's go. Not the bird. Not this. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do for the last 20 days. I got a lobster in the trash. Let's go get that pickaxe upgraded, I guess. I don't know what else to do. I finished the omelet. I'm almost done with the Dougies. I could just finish the Dougies. Dougies? Dougies. Oh, that's nice. I'm getting a lot of them now. I got a hard hat. Raining. Oh, thank you. The cat gives me fish. The pig must be getting close to being of age to give me some truffles. You're coming home with me. Bundle complete. The last scroll. Does the dwarf sell goldfish? I'm feeling the urge to just sleep the days away. I don't love anybody, Old Mariner. I don't love anybody, because I can go to Ginger Island. Could Willie be selling it? Do you want my bullhead? Thank you. Oh, you can take everything, actually. No. That. Oh my god. Oh my god, new ideas to sleep on. I know it's late. I know it's late. I'm running. Level 9 foraging. Find some yes. Yes, look. Good boy! Good boy! Oh, hell yeah. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. Are you fucking... Oh, I hate you. I hate you, fucking stupid bitch. I hate you so... I'm gonna go give the purple mushroom to the wizard. I think he likes that. Yeah, I don't want to give Robin a gift. I don't want to give a gift to... Robin, get out the way. I don't know how to make the jam with... I ate it. I don't know what the fuck else to do. It's 6 p.m. and I might just go to sleep. Good morning, Stardew Nation. Seeing how it's the fucking spooky festival or whatever being prepared in town, I think I'm gonna take down all the shit I've done. Oh, look at Jess. I legit don't know where to go. This is a little bit embarrassing. I made it. I'm the best there ever was. Oh my god. Look at my ugly ass owls. Wow. A duel. Kill each other. Kill. I'm being nice to Morris. I don't know why. Penny, I've seen what you did for others. Now please do it for me. Oh, fucking hell. Do you want an apple, Sophia? Could you give me something back one day? They're just taking my shit and not giving anything back. Oh, it's your birthday? You gave me maple syrup? I'm sorry, Susan. I had no idea it was your birthday. I just gave you an artichoke. For no reason. Oh, thank you so much for the $2 You want maple syrup, Mayor Lewis? Thank you for the petrified slide. Oh, I don't have this yet. Oh, thank you, Mayor Lewis. I think I'm gonna go to bed early tonight again, because I don't know what to do. I still need a snow yam and a bearberry. I imagine the bearberry is in like the secret forest. Well, I got the bearberry. I gave him 1 Joja Cola. He gave me 5. Oh, my omelet! My omelet! So what is going on? Well, he knows people that's died and now he wants me to join some meetings. I don't read. I'm sorry. Bro, what's an old coin? I don't need an old coin. I need a snow yam. Really, nothing's happening today. I need to talk to everybody for a mission and I don't know who I'm missing and I'm starting to not care anymore. Do I need to talk to the fucking mouse? I'll talk to the mouse. And what are you doing down here? Weirdo. Yes! Oh yeah, Robin, that's insane. I mean, I have the battery packs, but I might have the stone also. This might not be as insane as I thought it was. Maybe this is doable. I just want a snow yam. Why is that like hard right now? Oh! Oh! That's my buddy! I'ma catch up. I'ma catch up. Hi, baby! Isn't there supposed to be a lot of low wormies in the ground in the winter? Because there's like nothing, so they give you a lot of powder melon seeds, or did I hallucinate that? Happy birthday, Linus. Oh, thank you. The spiceberry and the winter root. Ooh, a battery pack in the trash. Will you ever sell something I want? Probably not. I didn't give Penny her 2 gifts this week, so I'm gonna give her another diamond. Hope that she gives me a fucking goldfish. Not a fucking snail. Penny! I want a largemouth bass. Give me a largemouth bass. Oh, nice! Midnight carp! Level 9 fishing. Hell yeah. I got my new void chicken, Dochi. Train. Give me goldfish! Yeah, nothing at all. Thanks for wasting my time. Oh, largemouth bass! Yes! I'm gonna put it on the floor at Jody's house. Yep. Yes! I was gonna try to make winter seeds with the winter forgeables because I couldn't find it, but I got it. So now, officially, the only thing that's holding me back is the dreaded goldfish. Put the star up for me. Yay! I'm going to bed. I've done enough today. Oh, yay, they're repairing the bridge. I'm having a bout of Ghost of the Skull Caverns Too Late syndrome. That's not... Why did I didn't want to keep my sight. I wanted to keep my pickaxe, obviously. Oh my god. Let's see how far I can get with that. Alright, I made it to 415. I think that's going to be enough for tonight. And we're back in Winter Wonderland. Yay! Sorry for the whiplash, we're back on voiceover. On day 90, I took the decision to stop fucking around and I downloaded a mod that would allow me to spawn any item I wanted. I'm so sorry for cheating. I guess you can hear in my voice how broken up I am about it. Anyway, I made my way to the community center first thing in the morning with that stupid ass fish and was able to complete every single bundle. I naively thought that meant I'd be able to give the stuff needed for the boat the next day, but I should have known it wouldn't, because why would anything ever go my way? On day 91, I did not get the letter in the mail to check out Willie's back room, so I assumed I had to trigger the final community center cutscene before I got it. I went to get that started, watched Morris get punted into the sun, and strolled back home to slowly but surely start a new farm layout. It took me way too long to do the smallest modifications, as usual. On day 92, it was the Winter Fishing Festival, or whatever, which meant every store was closed. When I checked my mail, I did get the message from Willie, so I was certain at least that I would be getting started on the boat the next day. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't getting impatient though. Since I couldn't go into town to do anything, I worked on my farm some more, planning some space for a fish pond and new crops watered by iridium sprinklers. Then the festival happened, I guess. On day 93, my watering can upgrade that I had started a couple days before was ready, and I finally had access to repair the boat. I knew it would be repaired overnight and my wait wasn't over yet, but my patience would soon pay off. I donated everything that was needed and ran back home to keep working on my layout at a snail's pace. On day 94, the boat was repaired during the night and I got everything ready for Ginger Island. I had food, my slingshot, all my tools, and my heart ready for love. I looked around for walnuts a bit before entering the volcano for the first time. I'll be very honest with you all, this was my first time on Ginger Island ever, which is part of why I was so excited to get there. I might have said that before, but I've been working on this video for 3 months, so I forgot. All of this to say, I did think the volcano would be a lot harder than it was. I was shocked when I got through all 10 rooms on my first day, but that shock quickly subsided when it was replaced with pure lust and ecstasy at the sight of Lance. I was warned by my sister that everyone wants to shag Lance and that I am making an extremely normie choice, but you know what? I'm okay with that. On day 95, I must admit I restarted the day because I gave Lance a gift he hated at 6 a.m. while the roosters were still fucking singing, and also because I died in the volcano and lost a dragon tooth. On my second try though, I hunted for more walnuts, tried that Simon Says game that humbled me incredibly as I was not able to finish it, and fell asleep in a tent on my newly unlocked island farm spot. I woke up on the island on day 96 and I instantly went to give Lance his daily gift. Here's your glistening fish you gave me yesterday, sweet prince. Hope you love it. I collected some more walnuts in the volcano so I could get the island farmhouse built, and then I headed back into town for the rest of the day. Since I wasn't in town for 2 days in a row, I made sure to catch up with everybody and do some quests. I was also getting ready to add the last details I could to my layout, getting everything in there real organized, except for the kegs and the preserve jars, and the disappearance of my tree farm. Don't worry about that. Friday meant saloon time, and Emily offered me a free drink when I walked in. Of course, I'm a gin girl, so I got that and downed it right away exactly as I would have in real life. I then headed down to the beach for Squid Fest, catching 5 in total. Lance was on my doorstep on the morning of day 97, and it would be a lie to say I didn't squeal a little and then run around in circle in excitement. He gave me a schedule, and that does feel extremely intimate. Allow me to read way too much into that. I got the Joja catalog from the cart and I bought a small plastic plant. Riveting stuff happening in the late days of this challenge. I worked on my barn area on this day, laying down the flooring as well as preparing for a special area in the center of the wider part of my path. What's gonna go in there? I have no fucking idea, but it's there. I thought it was important to do the most on my farm before the end of the 100 days because I wouldn't live it down if I finished this challenge with my farm looking like it did before. Imagine. On day 98, I did more boring work on my farm, dealt with a crab infestation at Willie's, and sailed away to Ginger Island. I wasn't sure what I was doing there since I had never really explored the island before and I didn't know what to do or where to go. I went to the volcano again in doubt and then I died. Whatever. Lance saved me, so it wasn't all bad. I also didn't lose any of my stuff, only some cash. I did some fishing while overexerted and ate lionfish sashimi directly on the beach so I could keep fishing. It's all the rage on the island. I met a girl named Elysia from Castle Village for some reason. I don't understand the implications, but it happened. Then Marlon told me about Krobus, gave me access to the sewers, even if I gave him a gift he hated right before. I was happy to meet him, but the pressure put on my shoulders to make sure his existence stayed a secret was heavy to carry. I woke up on day 99 with dear Rasmodeus at my front step offering me magical training on the behalf of someone else if I joined him in the forest. I went there straight away and was bombarded by walls of dialogue and multiple cutscenes, which I will attempt to summarize. I can teleport now, I think, maybe. A staircase appeared near the trail above my house and led to the place I would teleport to and from. The cutscenes just kept coming and they didn't stop coming. I was discovering my power at a pace never before witnessed in the valley. All I wanted was to go order a new fish pond at Robin's, but I was forced to face my destiny instead. I went back to the volcano later in the day, taking bombs with me that time. I wanted to see if I could get walnuts from breaking rocks easier that way, but not really, seeing as I found big fat none of them. On day 100, I had to wrap it all up as much as possible to reach a satisfying endpoint for the 100 days I had just slogged through. I caught probably all the walnuts I could from fishing. Then I went back to Pelican Town, stumbling through the night market as if doing my walk of shame from the club at 5 a.m. in the morning. At 5 a.m. in the morning? With my heels in my hands. I ran over to the Adventurers Guild to see Lance since his schedule said he would be in the valley on this day. It's not stalking if the guy straight up gives you his weekly schedule. Then a witch flew by. Okay, Diva. Marlon gave me a rupee so I could create a warp point directly to the Adventurers Guild. This is so helpful with Expanded since the map is so much bigger, and making it all the way over there takes an hour in game even with my legendary speed. I just hope I'll remember to use them since I can't even remember to use the minecart. I gave Lance a little yellowfish and he keeps giving me weird stuff back. The wedding is next week. I did my last modification on my island for the time being. It's obviously not finished, but you can see the picture being painted. I intend on making a second animal area next to the fields and bring the greenhouse closer to the crops, maybe at the bottom there beneath the area I was working in, if there's enough space. I might hide it well, but this is already the most work I've ever put in a farm. I usually don't even use flooring. I visited the night market, found the pearl at the mermaid show, and got to the submarine too late. A bit of an anticlimactic end to the day, but it is what it is. I fell asleep on the floor of my house as I attempted to run to bed, truly doing the most of the day. I am never doing this again. To be absolutely clear, I will never spend 3 months working on a video again. I thought my Pleasant View overviews took a long time to edit. Oh, good lord, I didn't know what I was getting myself into with this one. I am glad I did it, but mostly I'm happy that it's over. I really overestimated how much I would want to play Stardew Valley when I started this, so I spent weeks taking breaks between recordings because I didn't want to force myself to do things I didn't want to do. And obviously this is no fault of anyone but me. I'm always a bit too ambitious. I'm happy with how the farm turned out. It's really nothing impressive, but I like it. I'm a bit surprised by my relationships after 100 days. I have no idea why I'm so friendly with Marnie, Robin, or Demetrius. I don't feel like I went out of my way to be friendly to them specifically, especially after the mirror shorts had been retrieved in Marnie's case. Like, I know I gave her a couple of diamonds, maybe that's why. Hopefully my multiple instances of cheating, walking too fast, spawning a goldfish from the void, and restarting some days didn't give you the urge to burn me at the stake. It simply couldn't be helped. I swear I'll start posting Sims videos again soon. This really wasn't supposed to take 3 months. With that said, as always, guys, I love you and I care about you. Please follow me on all of my social medias. They will be linked down below, as well as my Ko-fi if that is something that could interest you. Now sleep tight. Don't let the Bud Light bite. So soon. Oh my god, it feels like it's been years.